Welcome to my channel. Here in my art studio, I show you ways to implement art therapy and how to create a creative practice through easy to do projects that can have positive outcomes in your life. Join me now as I show you how you can create positive affirmation artwork. Positive affirmation artwork is a means by which you can take a positive affirmation and give it more power by adding a visual element to it. When we have imagery and we embody our affirmation through that, it just has a more powerful impact on our mind, which is wired with our belief systems through circumstances, smell, the environment, and other stimulations. So, why do we need an affirmation? What are the uses of an affirmation? An affirmation is a bridging technique that can be used to overcome old limiting beliefs that has been part of our belief system for a long time. For example, you might be saying to yourself on a regular basis that you are not smart enough to do something. That is a limiting belief. So creating a positive affirmation is a way to bridge that limiting belief and to begin to create a neural pathway in your mind that leads to a positive outcome. In my art studio now, I'm just creating 3 little cards, and I'm just using intuitive art with my watercolor just to play and to create a background on which I will be placing my affirmation. I did choose the colors mindfully for each of these 3 cards, as these colors for me will support the affirmation that I've chosen to embody on them. So a way that we will use a mandala, like I said, as a bridging technique, is to choose a different attitude, to choose a different experience, and to choose a different embodiment of what it is that we are trying to accomplish and to manifest in our lives. So to use the word choose is very powerful, because it reminds us that we do choose our experiences. A good way to do that, or as an example, would be to say, I used to believe ... but now I am learning to believe in a different outcome. Or you can also use words like, up until now, this used to be my experience, but from now on forward, I choose a different reality. The way that our brains work with these kind of things is called implicit memory. It is habituated behavior that has been formed through many years of old limiting beliefs. So it will take time to change it when you are using affirmations in order to reprogram the mind. One of the ways that we can change old habitual belief systems and habits is through the use of positive affirmations, because now you can choose exactly what it is that you want to believe, think, and feel. It is very important to be mindful of your self-talk, because you believe what you tell yourself. So a way to use an affirmation is when an old belief system was triggered through an experience or on regular time periods throughout the day. For example, in the morning while you're getting dressed for work, or in the evening as you prepare to retire. The goal is to turn your affirmation into an habituated positive belief that can replace the old negative belief. But this will take practice and repetition. It is not something that will happen overnight. So, to embody your art in a visual way like this is a beautiful reminder that you can place around your home, to remind yourself of your choice to now use a new positive statement, attitude, and vibration in your life. 3 things to keep in mind when you are working with affirmations is that it needs to be visual, verbal, and physical. When you use these 3 aspects, you empower your affirmation to become more of a reality for your mind. Keep in mind that your subconscious mind does not differentiate between reality and fantasy, old belief or new belief. So, when you can add a physical and a verbal and an emotional or visual stimulation to your affirmation, it just becomes so much more powerful, because when you form new neural pathways, it gets wired into these experiences. An example of this would be when you've heard a particular song, or you listened to a particular song during a breakup when you were in high school. And every time down in your life, when you hear that song again, you become sad. It is because you've been hardwired with that song to remember the sadness that went along with that experience. This is why it is so important that we become mindful of our environment and the triggers that could possibly trigger old memories, and therefore also old limiting beliefs in our lives. And then, when these do get triggered, to have a positive affirmation at hand to reinforce a positive belief system. Now that my artwork is dried and finished, I'm just gonna draw some 5 millimeter incremental lines with a pencil, where I will just guide myself to write my positive affirmation. I'm going to be using a brush type of micro ink pen, and I have chosen 3 affirmations for myself that I will be working with. 3 of the things that I want to deal with and embody in my life is dealing with um, some emotions and old limiting beliefs around anger, fear, anxiety, and conflict. When these triggers come into my life, I would like to use this beautiful affirmation. I choose the higher vibrations of love, peace, and harmony. It is very simple, and I've made use of the 6 important P's, which I will be sharing with you as we continue. The next affirmation that I want to embody and work on is deeply connected with my self-worth. Whenever I feel unworthy or I feel challenged in my environment, where maybe something happens and I feel unwelcome or judged, I would choose to use the following affirmation. I used to believe that I was not worthy. Now I am learning that I am more than enough. I chose the colors gold and pink to embody and support this beautiful belief. The last a positive affirmation for today that I'm working with for myself has got to do with abundance. Financial situation sometimes triggers negative emotions within me, and the positive affirmation that I now choose to use is: up until now, I believed that I was poor. From now on, I choose to make full use of all the abundant opportunities the universe supplies without end. I've also chosen to use the colors orange and blue to support this beautiful mandala. So while I'm drawing this for you, I would like to share the very important 6 P's with you. When you use these 6 P's to create positive affirmations, they will support your affirmation to be as effective as possible. So the first P is possible. Your affirmation has to be attainable. It is possible to achieve this that you are affirming. The second P is power. It must be within your power to control your outcome. For example, you cannot control the weather, so to make an affirmation, "It won't rain on my wedding," would be ridiculous. Rather make the affirmation, "I will have a great wedding experience regardless of the weather." The third P is present. Always write your positive affirmation in the present tense by using words like now, I am, I choose, I have. The number 4 P is personal. Make use of I statements in your affirmation, as this makes it far more powerful. Number 5 is positive. Make sure that you affirm what it is that you do want and not what you don't want. And the sixth aspect is that of passion. You must feel it. You must be passionate about your affirmation and what it is that you want to experience, and then repeat it often. At this stage of my affirmation creation, I'm just using a creative scissor just to finish off the card edge so that it has a nice beveled edge that would look pretty. But you can do anything that you like. You can even create bigger affirmation arts. You can create banners, you can create little buttons, whatever works for you, or whatever space you want to place them in uh, will determine what you do. You can even place these in a little frame and just put it on your desk or in specific spots in your house, so that whenever you see them, you're reminding yourself of your new choice, and you can just then use that opportunity to say that affirmation out loud for yourself so that it can become part of your new experience. Here I've placed them on my fridge, and this way every time I open my fridge I have this beautiful reminder of this positive affirmation that I created. I've also embellished this beautiful artwork with some emojicons that I find supports the artwork.